Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the College Football Kickoff Show 10 Qs series. This week, we are going to dive into perhaps a subject that, by and large, really doesn't need to be discussed, because we're out from one brand and onto another one. But I'm game for anything in regards to college football. So we're going to talk about the old model, the infamous BCS, and the college football playoff, and basically give you my take on both models. But before we dive into this, I want to first remind everybody that we got a lot of spring ball action coming up for all of you on Saturday. Ohio State is on Fox, high noon for that one. Pitt on the ACC network and Penn State on the Big Ten network. Both of those spring games will go down at 2. And Alabama on ESPN at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And I want to think, there's a part of me that might be missing something here. I don't know if it's this week. Maybe I should look at this. Now that I think about it, I probably should. Oh, let's see. I had it posted on here on the Note app. I just have to make sure that I find it. Yeah, we're going back to your old standard regular... Oh, there we go. We got it. Boston College. I knew there was one in here. Boston College will have their spring game on the ACC network at high noon Eastern Time. And if you really want to get the day started, North Carolina will be doing not a spring game, but basically what amounts to a spring practice. I don't like the idea of it being a showcase. To me, that's almost like an exhibition in figure skating, the way you're making it sound. You go through all, the twists and turns of the short program and the long program. The medals are handed out. Now we do an exhibition. No. But that's what North Carolina is doing. 10 o'clock in the morning. For those of you early birds who want to get a jump start on this, I'll probably check it out because, hey, it's college football. So North Carolina at 10 a.m. with its little spring fling. Boston College at high noon, both on the ACC network. Ohio State at high noon on Fox. I'm going to be watching that one for sure. For a lot of reasons. Got to check out the quarterback situation, the running back situation, and an incoming freshman that I plan on talking about in the next edition of 10 Qs as part of the players to watch portion of 10 Qs. Penn State and Pitt. Penn State on the Big Ten, Pitt on the ACC, both at 2 o'clock, and Alabama 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. So, now that I got you all primed and ready for Saturday, let's get you all primed and ready for this edition of the College Football Kickoff Show 10 Qs with the CFP versus the BCS. Well, you can't spell BCS without BS. I never liked it. I never liked it at all. And that's only because, it's a series of games, but is it really a series when we already know the outcome? It's one game. That's all you're concerned with. It's a championship game. We don't need all these other games to set the table. They're nothing more than appetizers. What really set me off about the BCS back then was that you could have a team like UConn. Yeah, remember UConn playing Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl? Remember Northern Illinois playing Florida State in the Orange Bowl? Oh, that was great for the programs, don't get me wrong, but nobody wanted to watch those games. I may be the only one that wanted to because, hey, it's not often you get schools like those playing on a big stage like those ones are. So, oh yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Cincinnati and Florida in the Sugar Bowl. Remember Cincinnati? Brian Kelly left the Bearcats to go to Notre Dame. That one instance pissed me off beyond belief. Simply because, and yes, I am going to get off the soapbox, as I always do when I mention the name Brian Kelly. The story has been told a few times already. And I'll keep bringing it up because the man just does not get it. You do not leave an undefeated team that you coached high and dry and let them fend for themselves in a bowl game that you were probably going to lose anyway, even if you were coaching. Man, don't even get me started. Don't get me started. He burns Central Michigan for Cincinnati, then he goes and burns Cincinnati for Notre Dame. And where is he now? LSU. I thought Notre Dame was the dream job. Anyway, getting back to my point. Sorry about that, guys. I just needed to get that off my chest. You guys know I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan. Never was, never will be. But here's the thing. I never liked it. I mean, I like it when you know what the championship game's going to be. But of course, the purpose of the BCS was to try to set things up for the championship game where, depending upon the game and the rankings of the teams involved, it only spices up the interest that much more. But when you get a non-BCS school in there that completely, blows up the BCS, well, that just, screws everything up. So I was never a fan of that. College football playoff, however, the college football playoff last year finally had the controversy. And how do you spell that, Brandon? Controversy. Oh my God, I love it. Controversy. Oh, I'm never going to let that one go. The controversy that we saw last year with Florida State has finally led us to this particular model. The BCS never had that luxury. They just picked whoever they wanted and put them in bowl games, conference champions, obviously, at-large bids, if applicable. CFP, meanwhile, well, we're really past the point where conference champions still have validation, but it has really shrunk down to 2 major conferences, hasn't it? Well, considering what we dealt with the CFP over the last, how many years? You always had at least one team from the SEC, sometimes 2. The Big Ten, You might get one or two from the Big 12 or, the the could we call it the Pac Pie Conference? Because I don't know if it's 2 or 3.14, but anyway, the Pac Pie. Can't believe I just said that and got away with it. Controversy. I'm going to record that. I'm going to find a way to blow that one up when this is over. This is just hysterical. Anyway, 10 minutes into this, let me go ahead and try and see if I can finish this off without fumbling on another word and turning it into something else, like a Brandonism. With the current model now, it should take all the guesswork out of teams that you know are going to be in the conversation. And there's going to be a lot of them. But no sooner that once the 12 teams that will make up this year's playoff are announced, the 13th one, unlucky 13, is going to cry foul. You know it's going to come, and when it does, well, needless to say, they've already done something about it, and they'll expand it to 14, I believe, the following year, or is it in 2 years? I can't remember now. But it's going to get so crazy and so ridiculous. But there's the other thing. You're a team in the CFP. Let's just say you do win it all. Think of what you're going to do to your trophy case. You go from playing a first-round playoff game to a second-round playoff game in a bowl. Then eventually, I believe, the semifinals, you play in a bowl then. So you're going to take home 2 trophies on the way to the championship. And then ultimately, you win the college football playoff national championship. I tell you what, that's not a bad deal. I mean, it really isn't. I don't have the actual bowl sites for the playoff. I know the Rose Bowl's involved in it, and they should be. I'll tell you else they should be in. They should be doing the damn national championship game. I'm not the only one who thinks that, but hey, I'm not the one running the ship. Then again, nobody else is, so hey. The NCAA has made their bed, and they're lying in the coffin. So long, national communists against athletics. It's been good to snow ya. Anyway, I prefer the CFP in this new form right now. But here's the thing. It hasn't even been test-driven yet, so you have to at least take that into consideration. You really can't make a concrete conclusion out of it, since we haven't had the season yet. We haven't had the playoff. But I will gladly take this over that god-awful BCS any day. But the catch right here with the CFP, and here's the other thing. I wanted to make sure. I had to do a head check here. There is a flaw to this. They're only going to take the conference champions. The first 4 seeds will consist of conference champions out of the Big Ten, out of the SEC, out of the ACC, and the Big 12. The number 5 seed would be basically, by and large, an at-large. If you're Notre Dame, this is the highest you're going to go, unless you join a conference. The NCAA, which right now we don't even know if we should call it the NCAA, I'm sure has tried unsuccessfully to talk Notre Dame, or for that matter, conference commissioners, whether it's the Big Ten or the ACC. Although Notre Dame did join the ACC during the COVID year. So, I mean, it was a test run. Why not do it? Because Notre Dame is Notre Dame. So if you want to be number 5 instead of number 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, hey, I mean, that's how it's going to be now. Unless by some strange oddity, you get some school from another conference, not in direct affiliation with the 4 major conferences that still exist. And I say that because of the Pac-Pi conference, which, again, we really don't know if it's what it consists of anymore. But, it's a Pac-Pi in the face. You could have a situation like Liberty. Liberty went to the Fiesta Bowl last year. So Liberty, I would imagine, would be in the conversation. You could take, let's say, maybe Toledo of the Mid-American Conference. Think about all the other schools that have been in this spot before. And I think probably, let's say, when the whole New Year's Six thing started, they weren't big enough for the playoff. But their prize was a New Year's Six bowl, which meant whoever was last in the bowl rotation would end up playing in a bowl game against a team like a Central Florida, like a Tulane, like a Memphis, like a Western Michigan. All of them had their turn at the wheel. And I believe only UCF and Tulane came out smelling like a rose. Just didn't play in it, unfortunately. So there's going to be a lot going on with the conference champions getting the top 4. Notre Dame, I almost want to see them be a 5 seed right off the bat. And I would be hard-pressed to try and come up with some sort of preseason prediction as to who I think would make up the 12-team field for the playoff. But you have to figure, if they're still doing conference championship games in the big conferences, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and the Big 12, the losers of those games should get at-large bids, I would think. But there's going to probably be some jockeying for position, namely the Big Ten and the SEC, because they want it all. They want everything. And you know what? I don't have a problem with it, because nobody wearing a suit and tie could come up with a goddamn plan to put it in motion for something better than what we're going to end up getting. But you know something? What we're going to end up getting is just fine by me. Because the so-called powers that be could not put together anything more concrete than what we are about to have bestowed upon us this fall and beyond. So, whew, there's your controversy for this particular episode. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Big shout out once again to the College Football Commission for cooking up that question for the CFP and the BCS. I don't know how many questions I have left, but I don't know what I did with the ones I had left. So we are going to have one more installment next week. And this one is going to be a joint effort, simply because it's going to involve a question that my man John had submitted, but I'm going to spice it up a bit because it involves players to watch in 2024. And it's not so much the ones that opened our eyes a year ago, like the Luther Burdens and the Ollie Gordons. Oh, there's several. And I'd be hard-pressed to try to figure out who I think could be the difference makers this fall, but I like to think I got a few up the sleeve, including one in my own backyard, and I'll tell you who that is along with my other players to watch in the next episode, the final episode of the College Football Kickoff Show 10Q series. So, that's going to do it from here. Have yourselves a great one, and thank you very much. See you next week.